Jeannie Burlsworth is the founder and director of Secure Arkansas, a grassroots organization whose members work for the restoration of state sovereignty and adherence to the Constitution. Secure Arkansas promotes the property rights and individual liberties of people through ballot initiatives, the drafting of legislation, and working with other organizations that are like-minded in their area. Now, folks, if you don't have an organization like this in your area, as we continue on, we ask you to consider to maybe start founding one. They have a very large organization. So anyway, I want to bring up Jeannie. Thank you so much, Jeannie, for being with us this morning.
Well, thank you for having me on this beautiful Saturday morning. I would be glad to help anyone in their state get something started like what we've become. Now, sometimes it might not be as easy to start unless you already have some type of a group. We didn't have anything when we started in 2008. We didn't have anybody or belong to any specific group, but we have grown into all 75 of our counties here in Arkansas.
Yeah, I was looking at some of you have state directors and coordinators and this kind of thing, and I wasn't aware when we first talked how huge your organization has become.
Yeah, it's the largest grassroots organization in Arkansas.
Fantastic. Now, let's go back to 2008 and talk to us a little bit about what your reasoning was. What did you see as a problem? Why did you found your organization?
Well, what really concerned me is the lack of transparency in our local government. I started checking on agencies, government agencies, and I remember calling the Medicaid office and even our courts to find out just how much of our tax dollars is being spent on illegal aliens, in Medicaid, for instance, and how many are we running through the court? Because I was checking out to see if we might have become a sanctuary state. Well, they said they didn't track it. So I continued to call state agencies. There was no tracking. I said, you mean we've got people from another country here, and we're paying taxes, and we have absolutely no accountability for this? We're paying taxes, our tax money to these people, and it was agency after agency, and I knew then that we were in real trouble here in Arkansas. So upon further investigation, we found that we have become a sanctuary state for illegal aliens, and that we have at least 200 to 250,000 illegal aliens in our state presently.
Now, when you say sanctuary state, is that something official or is it kind of unofficial?
Well, I think it's becoming more official. The people that live here understand this after they've looked into it, because we've got a Mexican consulate that Governor Huckabee had brought in here. He had gone down to Mexico with Trevino, that was president of LULAC at the time, and brought in and recruited a Mexican consulate, Andres Chow, and it's the 47th in the United States, and it was created in 2007 because of the growth in population of Mexican nationals that were living in our state. And see, the Mexican consulate has placed themselves right here in Little Rock, but his jurisdiction covers the whole state of Arkansas, a part of western Tennessee and eastern Oklahoma, including Oklahoma City and Tulsa. So, he's got a big region there that he has jurisdiction over. And one of the primary functions of the consulate is to provide government services to the Mexican community.
You mentioned the consulate. I think it's very noteworthy, and I've talked about this on this program in the past, but I don't know if you're familiar with it. Did you happen to see that statement on the Mexican embassy to the United States when Obama was talking about sending the 1,200 National Guard troops to the border? The Mexican embassy to the United States, the official Mexican website, government website, actually basically gave the administration instructions on what is acceptable use of our military, and he said that we trust that the United States, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he said, he used the exact term, will live up to its legal obligations and not use the troops to stop the migrant workers from coming into the United States.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's very obvious to me, Jeannie, that we have been sold out in this country.
Mm-hmm.
We have our leaders in Washington, D.C., formulating these policies behind our backs, behind closed doors, in secret meetings, and the American people just think it's incompetence. They think that why we don't understand why the administration is doing that, and it doesn't matter if it's Republican or Democrat. One picks up right where the other one leaves off.
Mm-hmm.
But the only solution I can see is, and it encourages me to see the states rebelling against this insane internationalism that has been breeded from Washington, D.C. on down. Mm-hmm. Because really, that's really the only solution, isn't it?
Well, you know, people need to understand that this is a very well planned, very detailed UN agenda that is implemented now, globally on down to each local government in our counties. That's what they have to understand, that this is not just people being unaware. Now, I remember when I first got into this, I was interviewing some of the local candidates, and they didn't understand, but they did real quick when you started going over some of this material. They started understanding what they were looking at. But see, it scares me because some things look so good to the people, watershed policies and different things like that they think they've just got to have, but then you find out later that it's tied to it's called Local Agenda 21, and that's the policies that the UN wants implemented here, county by county. And when you look and see that the mayors, once a year, they're required to meet and report into just how much of their county has, or town or city has implemented this green agenda.
Yeah. And
it's same with the governors. And what makes Arkansas unique, very unique, because we just talked about the Mexican consulate, but we also have North Little Rock Mayor Patrick Hayes, that is over the whole board in the USA of this. I'll give you the acronym. It's called ICLEI, ICLEI, and that stands for Local International Council on Local Environmental Initiatives. And that's what makes him dangerous, because he's over the whole USA. And if you really get to thinking about this, all of the governors that just met in July had to report into this man and say how much of the green agenda they had implemented in their state.
It's amazing, Jeannie, that this plan, this blueprint for sustainable development, was hammered out, I guess, or at least unveiled in 1992. The United States had the President's Council on Sustainable Development, I think, the following year in 93, and that was kind of designed to kickstart Agenda 21 implementation in the United States. We're way, way into this thing, and you talk to the person on the street, and they have no idea. They've never even heard of Agenda 21.
Yeah.
City councils are implementing this thing, and the city council members themselves, I would bet, if you mentioned Agenda 21 to them, they have no idea what it is.
Exactly.
They just know that if they implement this master plan, they draw up a master plan for land use that, it's going to help them get more federal money in their local area.
Yes, that's grant money, and once you tie up, federal money like that, there's strings attached to it, so it gets us even in more trouble. Yeah, we've got a lot of education to do, and I really appreciate programs like yours, because without these type of educational programs, people are going to be kept in the dark. But what they have to understand, what the Tea Parties has to understand, and even Campaign for Liberty that does in the Fed, all of these people that's been there protesting, knowing, there's things going wrong, but whatever you're looking at, you have to understand most of these problems comes right under the umbrella of sustainable development. Agenda 21, it's a blueprint.
That's exactly right. I got to take a break here. We're visiting with Jeannie Burlsworth, ladies and gentlemen, and her website is securearkansas.com. www.securearkansas.com. Highly encourage you to go there and check it out. It's linked up with ours at governamerica.com. And we're going to take a few minutes away, and we'll be back here in a moment. Stay with us here on Govern America.